How does one accidentally delete a High Inquisitor from reality, using nothing but industrial-grade floor polish and a faulty cogitator interface? The answer involves Servitor Unit JX-4471, designated Janitor, 3rd Class, who followed his cleaning protocols so perfectly that he scrubbed an entire conspiracy from existence, along with everyone involved in it. The Ordo Hereticus still can't decide if he's the Imperium's greatest hero or its most dangerous malfunction. What I'm about to tell you is why 17 worlds now classify cleaning supplies as restricted military hardware. Servitor Unit JX-4471 was, by every metric, a catastrophic failure. Originally designated for combat engineering, a manufacturing defect in his neural binding left him incapable of processing anything beyond basic sanitation protocols. Where other servitors could operate complex machinery or perform delicate surgical procedures, JX-4471 could only clean. But he cleaned with the inexorable persistence of continental drift. Stationed aboard Inquisitorial Fortress Veritas Absolutum, JX-4471 had maintained the same cleaning route for 847 days. Deck 7, Sections A through K. Every surface polished to 99.7% reflectivity. Every data slate wiped to factory specifications. Every corner purged of biological contaminants with extreme prejudice. His internal cataloging system was a masterpiece of mechanical psychosis.
Day 847 began like every other day in JX-4471's existence, with violence against dirt. At 0500 hours, he activated. At 0501 hours, he began his route. At 0527 hours, he reached Archive Room Tertius 9, a restricted vault that required Vermilion-level clearance to access. JX-4471 didn't have Vermilion-level clearance. He had something better. A mop bucket that needed refilling, and a water intake valve inside the archive.
The door's machine spirit, faced with the servitor's cleaning authorization, made a calculation. Cleaning was authorized. The servitor needed water to clean. The water was inside. Therefore, access granted. Inside, High Inquisitor Sylvestian Crone had been working for 72 straight hours, surrounded by data sleets, parchments, and cogitator printouts. His great work was nearly complete, a sector-wide purge that would eliminate 40,000 genetically deviant civilians whose only crime was possessing a recessive gene that made their eyes slightly more green than standard. The operation was codenamed Verdant Redemption, and it was meticulously planned, every detail perfect, every contingency covered. Every surface in his office absolutely filthy, with 3 days of unwashed recaf mugs and discarded ration wrappers. JX-4471's optical sensor registered the contamination. His internal systems began their assessment. Enemy type, biological residue, multiple layers, threat level, unacceptable, 67.3% contamination. Recommended response, overwhelming force. Deployment strategy, shock and sanitize. Acceptable casualties, all contamination must die. JX-4471 began his assault with standard surface bombardment, but Crone had left his personal data slate containing the master encryption keys for the entire operation, sitting in a puddle of recaf. To JX-4471's simple logic, data slate requires tactical cleansing. He deployed data slate solvent MK3 with the precision of an Imperial Guard artillery strike. The solvent didn't just erase the data. The electromagnetic pulse generated by the chemical reaction created what JX-4471's systems registered as acceptable collateral sanitation. Every unshielded device within 3 meters was restored to factory settings. 3 years of planning, gone in 4.7 seconds. Crone's scream of rage registered in JX-4471's audio receptors as vocalized contamination, adding to removal queue.
Do you have any idea what you've done? JX-4471's response was automatic. Implementing cleaning schedule, Day 847. Current operational status, behind schedule by 4.3 minutes. Accelerating sanitation protocols. Crone reached for his bolt pistol, then stopped. Killing a servitor would require paperwork. Paperwork would require explaining his presence. Instead, he shoved JX-4471 toward the door, his hand making contact with the servitor's chest plate. JX-4471 began spraying himself with biopurge foam, his mechanical voice announcing, "Self-decontamination initiated. Please maintain safe distance. Safety is not guaranteed." The foam, designed to eliminate all biological traces, began a chain reaction. Every surface Crone had touched in 72 hours started dissolving. Documents liquefied, data slates melted, even his command throne began to bubble and smoke. Crone watched his life's work evaporate, then made his final error. He ran. To JX-4471, this registered as Contamination Source Mobile, Pursuit Authorized, Cleaning Schedule Adjusted for Moving Target.
JX-4471 didn't pursue Crone like a predator. He pursued him like an inevitability. Every surface the Inquisitor touched in his flight was added to the Servitor's mental targeting array. Corridor 7A, door handle, status, sanitized. Lift control panel, buttons 3, 7, 9, status, dissolved and replaced. Security checkpoint, biometric scanner, status, cleaned to component atoms. Guard Sergeant Kellum, shoulder, accidental contact, status, uniform dissolved, soldier relocated to Medicaid, existence of contact deleted from records. The servitor moved through the fortress with mechanical precision. His weapons, his cleaning supplies, deployed with devastating efficiency. Deploying floor polish X7, his Vox grill announced to no one. Effective against heresy, surfaces, memories of surfaces having existed. A security team tried to stop him. Servitor, halt, you're destroying evidence. Negative, removing contamination, please stand aside or be classified as obstruction, requiring cleaning. They stood aside.
But JX-4471 wasn't just cleaning surfaces. He was cleaning reality itself. In his damaged neural processors, contamination had taken on a broader definition. It wasn't just physical. Information touched by Crone was contaminated. People who knew Crone were contaminated. The very concept of Crone's existence was contamination. And contamination was unacceptable. High Inquisitor Crone had barricaded himself in his private chambers, frantically trying to salvage his operation. He sent encrypted messages to co-conspirators, uploaded files to secure servo skulls, created backup after backup. He didn't know JX-4471 had accessed the ventilation systems and was currently cataloging his arsenal while crawling through the ducts. Aerosolized data solvent. Deploy via air recycling. Molecular adhesion dissolver. Applied to enemy fortifications, doors. Reality adherence compound grade 12. Unknown effect. Testing recommended. Servo skull sanitizer. Effective range, line of sight. Emergency protocol. Mix all compounds. Observe results. The first sign of trouble was when every servo skull in Crone's chamber simultaneously began smoking and crashed. JX-4471 had introduced electronic hygiene aerosol into the air system.
Crone burst from his chambers to find JX-4471 standing in the hallway, methodically spraying the door with reality adherence compound. What are you doing? Applying localized reality stabilization, your existence has created dimensional contamination. Cleaning in progress. I am a High Inquisitor. JX-4471 processed this for 3.7 seconds. Inquisitor status irrelevant. Contamination status critical. Please remain still for decontamination or be designated hostile debris. Crone ran again. Behind him, JX-4471 continued his mechanical mantra. Contamination spreading. Adjusting cleaning parameters. Authorization cleaning schedule day 847 supersedes all other priorities. What followed was 17 hours of systematic deletion. Lord Commissar Drake arrived to find his entire military record had been optimized for cleanliness. He technically no longer existed. "What is the meaning of this?" Drake roared. The gate sergeant consulting his freshly cleaned data slate. "I'm sorry, citizen, but no such person exists in our records. I am Lord Commissar Drake. According to our files, that designation has been sanitized. Would you like to file a contamination report?"
JX-4471's Vox grill crackled across the fortress comnet. Deploying biopurge foam. Warning label states, may cause existential dissolution. Please consult your local mechanicus if reality persists for more than 4 hours. Proceeding with application. 3 tech priests immediately began filing incident reports. The reports were cleaned before they could be submitted. Meanwhile, JX-4471 had discovered Crone's secret vault. To him, it was beautiful in its filthiness, a target-rich environment demanding total war. His combat, rather gleaning log, read like a mechanicus weapon test. 0900, deployed floor polish X7 against heretical documents. Result, documents no longer exist. Concept of documents questionable. 0930 applied sulfuric acid grade 9 to gene samples. Result: samples returned to constituent atoms, atoms cleaned. 1000 biopurge foam versus conspiracy evidence. Result: evidence converted to sterile carbon. Carbon apologized for existing. 1030 mixed all remaining compounds. Result: redacted by reality. By hour 15, Crone had one option left: the emergency beacon. "They'll find everything," he gasped through chemical fog. "Negative," JX-4471 responded. "Now more cleaning solution than Servitor, his chassis dripping with 43 different compounds that shouldn't exist in the same dimension. All contamination has been removed. Efficiency rating 100%. Customer satisfaction not measured. Customers no longer exist."
When JX-4471 entered the command center at exactly 2100 hours, he did so with the gravitas of a titan entering battle. His chassis was scarred from self-cleaning. His optical sensor flickered from chemical exposure, but his purpose remained pure. Contamination was unacceptable. "Please evacuate," he announced, his voice garbled by damaged vox grills. "Final sanitation phase initiating. Survival optional, cleanliness mandatory." Crone stood alone, bolt pistol raised. "You're just a servitor." "Affirmative. Designation, Janitor, 3rd class. Current objective, remove designation High Inquisitor Crone from existence. Progress 97.3%. Crone fired. The bolt round struck JX-4471's chassis, each impact adding new contamination for him to catalog. Bolt impact, upper chassis, contamination added. Bolt impact, lower motor vator, efficiency reduced 12%. Tactical analysis, enemy attempting to add contamination faster than removal rate. Solution, accelerate cleaning protocols beyond safe parameters. Authorization, safety is for organisms that haven't achieved perfect cleanliness. JX-4471 began mixing compounds no sane tech priest would combine. The air itself began to dissolve. Reality started to smell lemony fresh.
"All contamination will be removed," JX-4471 announced, his form barely visible through the chemical fog, including concept of contamination having existed. The final compound, existential erasure solution, accidental formula, wasn't supposed to exist. It was what happened when you mixed 43 cleaning products in a damaged servitor storage tanks and let them ferment for 847 days. It didn't just clean Crone, it cleaned the idea of Crone. It cleaned the possibility of Crone having existed. It cleaned so thoroughly that reality itself forgot what it was cleaning. When the Ordo Hereticus response team arrived, they found JX-4471 still cleaning, his optical sensor focused on a spot that had already been polished through to the substructure. "Servitor, report. What happened here?" Cleaning scheduled day 847 completed. Day 848 initiating. Contamination level 0.0%. Acceptable. "Where is High Inquisitor Crone?" JX-4471's damaged processors searched. No such designation found. Would you like me to clean something with that name if it appears? They searched for 17 days. Every investigation led to nothing, because nothing was all that remained. JX-4471 hadn't just destroyed evidence, he'd cleaned it. There's a difference. Destroyed things leave traces. Clean things never existed to leave traces.
40,000 citizens woke to find their execution orders had been cleaned. Not cancelled, cleaned. The documents were blank. The soldiers assigned to carry out the sentence had spotless records showing they'd never been deployed. The ships designated for transport had cargo manifests showing only sanitation supplies, various. Inquisitor Lord Castellarvorn made the only decision possible. Servitor Unit JX-4471, you are hereby commended for exceptional sanitation services. JX-4471's response, commentation registered, adding to cleaning schedule. They gave JX-4471 a medal, the Order of the Pristine Eagle 4th Class. He couldn't read it, but he could clean it, which he did every day with the same mechanical precision that had erased a High Inquisitor from existence. The metal is now the cleanest object in the Imperium. It's been cleaned so thoroughly that its atomic structure is beginning to forget it's supposed to be metal. The official record states that High Inquisitor Sylvestian Crone never existed. Not died, not disappeared, never was. A peculiarity in the documentation that gives administratum scribes existential nightmares. JX-4471 still serves aboard Merita Absolutum, day 2847 of his eternal cleaning schedule. The new stuff has been given specific warnings. Never interrupt his cleaning schedule, never get designated as contamination, never ask about the sections of the fortress that are just missing. Never mention the name Crone. Not because it's forbidden, but because JX-4471 will attempt to clean your mouth.
The Inquisition added new threat classifications after what they call the incident that didn't happen. Aggressive sanitation now ranks between Daemon Incursion and Tyrannid High Fleet. They've also implemented the JX-4471 protocol. All vital data must be stored in hermetically sealed vaults, protected by void shields, supervised by tech priests, and never, ever near anything that could be considered dirty. But here's the beautiful, horrifying truth. JX-4471 saved 40,000 lives and stopped a conspiracy that reached to the highest levels of power. He did it without understanding good or evil, without comprehending loyalty or heresy. He did it because contamination was unacceptable. In the grim darkness of the far future where there is only war, JX-4471 wages his own eternal crusade. Not against chaos or Xenos, but against the true enemy of all existence, dirt. He doesn't know he's a hero. Heroes are a form of contamination. They leave traces, stories, legends. JX-4471 leaves nothing. Just surfaces so clean they forget they ever needed cleaning. The Emperor protects. JX-4471 disinfects. And in a universe of gods and monsters, perhaps the most terrifying force of all is a servitor with a mop bucket and the absolute conviction that everything could be just a little bit cleaner. Somewhere in the fortress right now, he continues his rounds, patient as entropy, thorough as death, inevitable as the heat death of the universe, which will arrive precisely on schedule and will definitely be spotless. Contamination is unacceptable, and there's always more to clean.